being reduced. Again, they've, with the exit plan for the lockdown 3.0 that is going on, I think the economic activity has started getting back to sort of, kick-starting the economy. The right way the government has tried to sort of provide relaxations to various businesses, self-employed professionals to see that they get back to work. Now, what I thought today, friends, is that the biggest advantage, what I see in our country, India, is that we are a fast-growing economy and we have a young population. We have seen success in many sectors of the economy, and I'm sure post-COVID, that once COVID epidemic vanishes and things settle down, India would be a very powerful economy to look upon. All along, we have always been seeing China, which has emerged as the world largest manufacturer. I think if you look at the history, 2010 is when China started, hunting for becoming the world largest manufacturer, right from drugs to electronic goods. The Chinese companies have dominated the market today. Even telephones like the Apple phones are manufactured in China. So what has happened is that China was able to contribute almost 28% of the global manufacturing output is currently being contributed by China. This is something which we as tax practitioners should know, because if China as a country is able to contribute so much, 28%, where do we stand? I think now what would happen post-COVID, a lot of dependence on China would reduce. We would see a lot of manufacturing bases being shifted from China to various other countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Cambodia, Singapore, and India would definitely be a favored destination. Why India would be a favored destination is that here we have all the, facilities that are required for a good manufacturing setup. And I personally believe that with a proactive government and with the, like we can say, the SSE-friendly measures launched by the government of India and various state governments, India would definitely be a preferred destination. But the government should continuously keep on creating a positive environment for investors to come and invest in India. Because when any investor is looking at investing in India, he will try to weigh the various options available to him. And when he looks at whether he can set up a manufacturing base in Vietnam or Singapore or Indonesia, he should prefer India because of the fact that we have a young population, we have a skilled population, and we'll be able to support the requirement of the global manufacturing companies. Friends, what is very important is that we need to build in that right ecosystem, manufacturing ecosystem. And I personally believe that India has got highly talented manpower. Absolutely, you can say that a lot of innovation is there, and the government has come out with a lot of, what you can say, ease of doing business initiatives. And we've also seen how the Make in India campaign or Skill in India campaign launched by the government has been vigorously followed up to see that it becomes a success. So the manufacturing sector in our country is likely to see a bloom, and this is the first big plus point which I would like to say. So what I would foresee is that the MSME sector, the SME sector, and all the large manufacturing companies would see bright days ahead. The next 10 years, according to me, would be the revolution for the manufacturing companies, like how we had the IT revolution last 10 years. I see in the next 10 years, there will be a revolution in the manufacturing sector. This is something which we need to keep in mind. But for this, what is it we could do as professionals? How we can guide businessmen to make the right kind of investments, get into the right kind of manufacturing activity, try to set up the right scale of business, and try to see how best they're able to conduct their manufacturing in a very ethical fashion is what we as professionals need to see. So for the manufacturing sector to be successful in India, the first thing is that we need to have skilled manpower. The government should continuously ensure that skilled manpower is made available to the various sectors of the economy. Whatever manufacturing unit requires a skilled manpower, this should be made available. Number two, we need to have a robust infrastructure by way of proper roads, then highways, sanitation, everything should be good. Then there should be an excellent power supply that is being provided to all these manufacturing units like it is provided in China. We should have good, efficient port and road services and simpler government clearances. I think if we are able to create all this, I think, I don't see any reason why India would not be the top manufacturing destination, and next 10 years would be a great opportunity. So what I would like to conclude is that manufacturing sector would see a lot of positive opportunities, and we should be able to guide our clients and people who want to invest in new manufacturing setups. I think we should be aware of the ground realities so that we are in a better position to advise them. The second sector which I see would do well is the IT sector. I think last 20 years, all of us have seen how the IT sector has grown. And since the majority of us are from Bangalore, we have seen the kind of growth companies like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, the kind of employment they've generated, the kind of profits they've declared, the kind of shareholders appreciation that has happened in the shares values of these companies. We all have seen the success story of how the Indian IT industry is recognized around the world. And I had the opportunity of visiting many other countries when I was the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, when I represented on the International Federation of Accountants. Let me tell you, friends, that India's IT industry is highly looked upon. The quality of our manpower is highly respected. And today, Indian engineers, they are almost everywhere. They are in America, they are in Australia, they are in the Gulf region. You find them almost in every part of the country. So this will continue to be a sunshine sector. According to me, the next 10 years also, I see a terrific growth in the IT industry. And today, what is happening is for the last 2 decades, the kind of business, the IT industry has generated almost $180 billion is the contribution of the IT industry. $180 billion is, I can tell you, is a very big contribution to the country's GDP. And today, what has happened, the image of our country has changed. And NASSCOM, which is the leading body for the IT and ITS companies, says that the workforce by 2020 would be more than 30 million. So what would happen is the IT industry would be the maximum employment generation sector. That is, this IT sector would generate a lot of employment. So we as professionals should be aware that there's absolutely no problem as far as jobs are concerned. Yes, temporarily, some people might lose their jobs. They might have to reskill themselves. Some of them may have to take, layoffs or take job cuts. But all this is temporary. In the months to come, things would definitely improve, because in the IT sector, a lot of support can be given to the domestic industry also. See, for example, let us say a company wants to automate business automation. The IT industry can help the companies to automate. Business automation is one very good area because technology becomes very critical. And today we have seen in the lockdown era how technology is playing an important role. You can buy products online, you can buy services online. Business automation would be the next big area, the change that would happen. And this will throw open a lot of opportunities, business automation experts, because what would happen is they'll have to deal with data. Data would become the new oil. Like how today oil is a precious commodity around the world, data would be another precious commodity, and people who can handle data, like data analytics, analysts, data analysts will have great demand. And I see a lot of opportunities in the field of artificial intelligence, data analytics space, in the field of blockchain, robotic process automation. Like all of us being tax practitioners and chartered accountants, we know how our boys sit down and punch vouchers on the accounting software. Now everything gets automated. When RPA, robotic process automation, comes, you just have to catch a barcode and scan it on the voucher. Automatically, the accounting entry happens. So a lot of automation is happening, and this automation will throw open a lot of opportunities for the youngsters in the IT sector. So the IT sector will continue to generate jobs, continue to be the sunshine sector, and you should encourage people coming to you for guidance. Yes, they should go to the IT sector. There's nothing that they should bother about the IT sector. Friends, coming to the telecom sector did extremely well, but yes, they went through a lot of challenges because of mergers and acquisition taking place. But with work from home becoming a reality, becoming a new normal, data plans being available easily, what would really happen is that telecom sector would do extremely well. And I personally believe in this digital revolution where everyone is looking to the internet, I think telecom companies are the companies which should do well. A lot of new job opportunities will open up in the telecom sector. And telecom sector is one area where I feel a lot of opportunities for trade and industry would be there. Anything around telecom sector is something, which will do well. So you should keep this in mind. The fourth sector which I feel is a great opportunity is healthcare. When we talk about healthcare, we talk about hospitals, medical equipments, diagnostic centers, pharmaceutical companies, hygienic manufacture of hygiene products. All this constitute the health sector. Now with the viruses like corona invading the country and invading the world, I think healthcare, even the poorest of the poor, will be careful about personal hygiene. They would like to be ensure that they maintain themselves more healthy. And I personally seen there'll be a great demand for personal hygiene products. Then nutrition and wellness products also there'll be a great demand. Fitness products, fitness apps, and online. You can telemedicine. That is, you consult a doctor online would also become a reality. So what would happen is in the healthcare sector, you will have a lot of investments coming up. See, generally, friends, in any industry, if the industry has to do well, people would see the potential of the industry. In the post-COVID times, healthcare industry is a good industry to invest. You will have a flood of investors, venture capitalists. You'll have a lot of overseas investors looking at the healthcare sector in India. And I see a lot of investments coming in, plenty of job opportunities in the healthcare sector. Only thing, the demand for healthcare workers would increase. So there's a need for them to skill, there is need for them to reskill. And I would personally suggest that any one of your clients in the healthcare space, further investments in the healthcare sector would definitely pay rich dividends. Or let us say if someone wants to make fresh investments in the healthcare sector, you as a tax consultant, you as an advisor can advise them, yes, you should do it, and you should encourage them to do it. The next is the pharmaceutical sector. Friends, as you know, pharmaceutical sector in India is doing extremely well. We have been doing excellent exports. And when it comes to vaccines, 50% of the global vaccines are manufactured in India. And today, our contribution to the entire global pharmaceutical industry is almost 18%. And I believe that since we manufacture bulk drugs in India, the exports would increase. And as a result of which, a lot of job opportunities would be created in the pharmaceutical sector also. So anyone who would like to invest in the pharmaceutical sector would definitely be a good idea. And I would suggest that you could encourage your clients to see if they are keen to invest in the pharmaceutical sector, because pharmaceutical sector is something would be the sunrise industry in the years to come. Coming to infrastructure and real estate, friends, yes, challenges are there. But one big announcement that has been made by the central government and various state governments is that they would like to, take up construction of highways, take up development works, and they want to double the construction of highways in the current year. So this will give a lot of opportunities for the migrant labor. Today, you're seeing the biggest problem the government is having is tackling with this migrant labor. You have migrant labor across the country, but if you look at the infrastructure sector, the real estate sector, the maximum employment generation by this sector goes to the migrant labor coming from, let us say, in a city like Bangalore, you have migrant labor coming from UP, Bihar, Rajasthan, all these places, and working in construction sites. So what would happen is that infrastructure projects would get a fillip, the government would take the lead. They would like that more and more development works takes place, and construction activities also will start. I foresee that in the next maybe 15-20 days, things will kickstart, and construction would continue to be another area where a lot of job opportunities are there. But yes, the only problem is that the construction industry has to wait for some more time. By the time the migrants get back to their homes, settle down for some time, and then come back, things would bounce back. But infrastructure and real estate will go through challenging times, but this is a sector that we cannot afford to ignore, and there's no need to panic, is what I personally believe, because real estate has seen a lot of challenges in the past, and it has weathered all the storms. So any investment made in real estate, any investment made in infrastructure projects would definitely yield dividends in the long run. Friends, the next sector which I feel a lot of opportunities would come is the education sector. Today, what is happening is most of the undergraduate examinations or the postgraduate exams have not been held. Today, online assessments are being made. Finally, some of the examinations are done on a online mode. So things would change, and e-learning would become very common. Virtual classes would be held. Government schools will start embracing e-learning programs, and with Zoom apps like how we have today, a batch of 100 students can be taught on Zoom app, and there can be a person who can monitor whether all the students are listening to the lecture and give the attendance to each and every student. So things would change, things like Blue Jeans, things like Go To, all these videos, conferencing apps would come. So education would happen online. Today, let us say as a tax professional, if you want to know something about GST, you can take up an online course on GST. In fact, recently I registered myself for a forensic accounting and a fraud detection course to upskill myself, because upskilling and reskilling is something each one of us have to do. So I feel education sector will be a good opportunity for people to work, because when a lot of online resources are used, I think more and more job opportunities will be created to create the ecosystem for this education sector. Friends, retail has done well, will continue to do well, because retail, what would happen is you buy the tie on the internet, you can buy your groceries on the internet, you're able to buy your food on your Swiggy or all these apps. All this would increase. So the retail would be the next focus. You'll see a lot of mergers and acquisitions, and a lot of the store would the near Kirana stores would get merged with the big entities. So you'll see a lot of investments coming in the retail sector. The retail sector has already seen investments, but you'll see more and more investments. So if any of your clients comes to you and asks you, sir, can I invest in the retail sector? I want to take up a particular space of the retail sector. I want to get into logistics. I want to get into distribution. You should encourage him, because the retail sector would continue to do well. But the only thing is, for non-essential items like luxury goods, there will be a delay. People would not buy now. But for essential goods, there will be a demand for things. So retail space is something which you should encourage. Friends, coming to the banking sector, the opportunities in the banking sector will also increase. Mobile banking, internet banking, managing of cyber frauds, financial literacy programs. Retail banking will get a big push. All the auto loans, car loans, everything will get a big push. And as a result of which, you need young guys who have the knowledge of technology, who can go about marketing these products. I see a plenty of opportunities. But currently, the banking sector is doing a good job supporting the SMEs, MSMEs. They are voluntarily going and trying to reach out to their clients to ask them to take ad hoc working capital limits. I hope that they are able to support the MSME and the SME companies, so that they're able to tide over the short-term crisis. I've been on the board of the Indian Overseas Bank as an independent director appointed by Ministry of Finance. I've seen the challenges of working capital all these units have. They really do not have money to pay the salary, and in such scenarios, the challenges will be much bigger and much higher. And I'm very happy that the banking industry is coming forward. All the nationalized banks are coming out with schemes to help the SME and the MSME. It's only thing you have to proactively reach out to the bank and see what best you can be benefited, from the various schemes that have been launched by the various nationalized banks. Friends, the next big sector with a lot of opportunities would be the digital and internet economy. Today, what is happening, as I told you today, we are able to buy everything online. Online education, online skilling. There's a huge demand for online content. Gone are the days where you used to go for a movie. Today you're sitting down and watching the your favorite web series on Netflix or Hotstar. Then you're buying your groceries online, vegetables online. Everything is becoming online. So once the digital revolution has come in a big way, and a lot of fintech companies are also coming. There are plenty of opportunities in the fintech space. What do you mean a fintech? Financial services and technology getting together. Like, for example, you have the Paytm or the BMAP. All this comes under the fintech space. So the government giving a big push to digital, I see a lot of opportunities for youngsters, for investments to be made in the digital space. Insurance industry, plenty of opportunities. Health insurance, home insurance, personal life insurance would almost go 4 times. Penetration of insurance in our country is very low. You go to Australia, the penetration is something like 60 to 70%, whereas in India, the insurance penetration is just 3 to 4%. There's a huge potential. So anyone working in the insurance space, selling insurance products, plenty of opportunities in the post-COVID scenario. Logistics is the next area with a lot of growth. Logistics means support, shifting the goods from the manufacturer to the end customer, either by road or rail or sea. Everything, logistics would undergo massive change. A lot of technology will be used. Directly the goods would reach from the manufacturer to the customer in the years to come. So as a result of which, logistics also would see a lot of development because of the e-commerce activity that is taking place. So logistics, if a client wants to invest in logistics, you can safely tell him to invest. Entertainment industry, friends, I've already said, people would reduce going to the theaters. Entertainment will get redefined. online gaming would come. Online gaming is very popular. So what would happen is that online gaming would come, and all these new sectors is where opportunities are there, either for jobs or for investments. And I would suggest that we should keep in mind all these sunrise industries and guide our clients accordingly, so they make the right investment. Because if we do not advise them well, they might end up making the wrong investments. In fact, today what is happening is you have a lot of people returning from the Gulf. Almost 5 lakh people are returning from the Gulf. We have more than 40 to 50,000 people coming from United States of America. Maybe the total number of overseas citizens coming from various countries, according to me, would cross about 7 to 8 lakhs or maybe 10 lakhs. What I personally feel is that when these people come back, they come back, most of them would come back for good. Some people would like to, when they come back for good, they have come back with their retirement money, or they would have come back with their savings, they would like to invest in India. And these people will come to us, sir, I was working in Kuwait, I've come back to India, now I would like to do something, can you guide me? That is when we as a chartered accountant or a tax practitioner would be able to help them. When he has come back from Kuwait, when he has got some 30-40 lakhs of money with him to invest, you should be in a right position to guide him and tell him, please invest here, please invest there. This is the right way to go about, so that his investments don't go waste. Friends, the next 5 minutes I've been allocated, it's already 4:25. I would just share 3 points which is relevant to each one of us. All of us are practicing chartered accountants, income tax practitioners. Number one, we need to upskill. This is the time for us to understand, get into new areas. What are the new areas of specialization we can get into? Now GST has come. Yes, there's need for you to have the knowledge of advanced knowledge of GST. Maybe you can take up a certification course. You should also know how to work on computerized systems, how to work on advanced Excel. You need to have the knowledge of new softwares, how it works on a cloud basis like QuickBooks or Zoho. I think skilling and upskilling is absolutely critical for each one of us participating in this webinar. Until and unless we upskill or reskill, I think, friends, we find it difficult to survive. So this is the best opportunity during COVID time, when you have a lot of time available to you. Evenings are free. Please try to take up some course. You take up a course on IFRS. You can take up a course on insolvency and bankruptcy. You can take up a course on valuation. You can take up a course on international taxation. You can get into information systems audit and consulting. So many opportunities, forensic audit and fraud detection. So many areas are there for you to specialize. I can only make a request to each one of you is that you should try to see how best you can upskill. Number two is we should try to identify new opportunities in our organization. All of us are only into tax practice or doing audit. You need to get into new areas. You should network with other professionals in Bangalore, other professionals in Bombay or outside the country, and see how best new work can come into the country. Without networking with other professionals, you'll not be able to grow the firm. And I suggest you identify new talent. If you want someone who can offer IT audits, you need to have a youngster who can add value to the organization. Please try to identify smart resources and take them as partners and try to grow a business. Number three, digitizing your practice. How you can invest in good IT hardware, software, how you can move all your data to the cloud, how you can provide the facility for your staff to work from home, how you can take efficient data backups, how you can have a good disaster recovery system, how you can develop good video conferencing facilities so that you can interact with clients, how you can have a good office management software to manage your office better, how you can have a good document management system in your office is something which we need to. So we need to focus on automating our own offices. We need to go for licensed software for all the software we're using. We need to go for a cloud-based software. We need to see how best a good office management software would help. And the next point and the last point would be branding and communication. We need to ensure that we build the right kind of communication with the clients, have a good internet presence, have a good website of your firm. Try to see if you're also available on social media. And at this time, the time of Corona, I think you need to pick up the phone and proactively call your clients, say hi to them, and try to give them some advice and give them some comfort, give them some ideas, give them some solutions, and tell them, sir, yes, you're going through tough times, but yes, we can all weather these storms. We are there to support you. As a professional, your first job is to see that you handled your client, and you should speak to your client, take the call and say, I'm there to support you, and try to see how best you can understand your concerns and try to help him get over all the problems that he's facing in this Corona times. Friends, I think as professionals, tax professionals, we have a highly responsible job on our hand. entire society looks upon you. Any investments to be made, they consult you. Any disinvestment in property, they consult you. If they want to invest for the next generation, they consult you. I think we need to have the knowledge of